how adaptable it is on the different devices. Does it work on my smartphone or is it not responsive? Which I've run into some websites from pre-2010 that are still up that are not responsive. And that's just a headache on a smartphone. If you think about it, traffic from smartphones has actually overtaken desktops. So if someone's not developing for smartphones, that's a huge hindrance to your business.
You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Johnson. Welcome to Everyday Practices with my co-host Reagan Robertson. Reagan, how you doing?
I'm doing more than exceptional today.
Wonderful. We will keep podcasting until we find the one day that you're not doing more than exceptional. But
right.
You have a special guest, and I don't want to steal your thunder. Why don't you introduce our guest, Ken?
Oh my goodness. All right. So listeners, you always hear me say that, oh, I'm so excited to have this particular guest on, and you can tell that I'm pretty chipper and optimistic. However, this guest is extremely deeply important to me on a personal note. So I've known this guest for 30 years now, which really dates us both. But Ken Davenport is his name. He's the senior web developer at Productive Dentist Academy with us. He's also a successful business owner, and he's a user experience expert. So Ken, thank you for taking time to talk with our listeners today. There has been a lot of buzz about user experience, websites, things that need to be compliant today. And I thought there's really no better time than to bring you on our show and, talk to dentists about what they should be looking for.
Well, howdy. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Ken.
Yeah.
It's funny, people always ask me, why do you say howdy? I'm like, well, that is the friendliest way of saying hello that I can possibly think of.
Do you think howdy is from how do you do?
Yeah, of course.
Howdy. I don't
howdy,
know.
ma'am.
I've just always wondered. So let me ask, as far as content goes, Ken, what fills your regular day? What are you up to as a user experience expert / web development guy for the past 20 plus years?
Well, at my core, I am definitely a builder. I take these designs that people create and make them work. Because essentially, when I get the design, it's just like looking at a picture. Okay, that's cool. How do I interact with it? How is a user going to interact with it? So I have the opportunity to figure out how that's going to happen. And to me, I'm such a nerd, it just really excites me.
Yeah. What are some common requests that you get from dentists for their website? And I don't care if it's, like a peculiar one time that you get asked that, or if it's, like all the time that dentists ask for it. But is there stuff that dentists want on their website, but it's just like, oh, please don't ask me for this because that's just garbage? Or, from your perspective, you're looking for the user interaction, but dentists are looking at it from a different angle. So what's your take on some stuff that our listeners could be like, all right, so web designers, they hear it a different way. What runs through your mind when I ask about, things that aren't going to go well?
Well, sure. And I think a lot of the time it's the things you don't see. What does a practice owner want? They want results, right? They want a return on investment. They want their brand to be well represented. And they want their listing to be as high on Google as possible. As far as like little widgets and stuff, a chat feature, they want that all the time, and it's pretty handy. And there's, a handful of ways to do it. Some work well, some don't. And that's just kind of my job to figure out what that's going to be. As far as like the patient side, what they want on the website, they want something that's going to be easy to use. They want their information fast. They want to be able to communicate with the doctors. The chat comes in handy with that. Forms come in handy. They're not as cool or eye-catching as, say, a chat. And they want to just find ways to save money.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking my language with having a chat, and then also, having the forms online and whatnot. So
what's nice about the forms is, so when we develop them, we develop in a way that directs that information right to the place where it needs to go. Let's say you had a website and you offer all these different services. Okay, let's say you have people in your office who specialize in each of those services. Well, if there was a form on the website, the user says, I need this service, this service, this service. Well, that would dictate on where that information goes. So the right person can get that information and pass that off to the dentist, and away you go.
So as far as what the patient wants, I mean, so we just talked about what the dentist wants, typically and whatnot, and how you interpret that and use that. But when you're thinking about the the patient experience, what comes to mind as far as what patients are looking for? Or is that so wide that basically that's why Google, you're trying to capture some of the most popular, terms? What's your thoughts there?
So I'll run it through, saying I'm the consumer. So as a consumer looking for a dental office, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Google them. I'm going to put in dentist and zip code to find the nearest dentist. Their information should be one of the top listings. If it's not, I kind of wonder why. I take a quick glance at the number of reviews they have. How many of those are positive? Yeah, you got to take those with a grain of salt, because there could be someone who's a competitor and could be trying to drive their reviews down. So if you see just a few of those, and honestly, from my perspective, I wouldn't really worry about that too much. If everything checks out, I'd go to their website, and if I'm on their website, here's what I want. I want to know where they're at, what days and hours they're available. I only do my appointments on weekends, so if there's not a dentist who does that, then they're kind of out of luck. What insurance do they take, and how can I set up an appointment? Can I do it online? Because that would be really convenient and it'd make me really happy. And along with that, if you are filling out a form on a website, we want to at least a response within 24 hours. I've been on some site just down south and type in a response and I get something a week later. It's like, is this how every conversation is going to go?
Well, but, just to keep listeners in perspective here on the podcast, everyone's down south. You're in Anacortes, Washington.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking like Seattle area.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't want people thinking you were talking like deep south, down south.
Well, here's an example. I was looking for someone who offers an oral appliance for sleep apnea. Nobody in this area does it, but there is a place down south from me that does, but the communication hasn't been up to par, I don't think.
You're within minutes of the Canadian border when Seattle is down south.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So Ken, as somebody who, like in my position in PDA, I've had some really fun challenges where I've had to incorporate software into PDA or look at building new software, which I know, you've internally been a part of that as well. My least favorite thing is not knowing what I don't know. So the phrase, I don't know what I don't know, oh, man, like it just gives me that anxiety of, what am I not asking? And as for dentists, they're exceptional at clinical proficiency. And then, they shouldn't have to know everything about a website or marketing. And so it's kind of this race of who can sell the best story to them. And that's not a good solution either. So I've been seeing a lot about the ADA compliance. And I think that's something you shared with me, I want to say years ago. And
long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago, and said we've made all of our all of our sites are ADA compliant. What kind of questions should dentists ask web developers or anyone who's dealing with their online experience? What are some questions that they should be looking for when selecting the best choice for them?
Oh gosh, really, what is the reputation of the firm who's going to be doing all the work? What are their website practices, things that they do or that they do that others don't, or so they say? Do they develop with accessibility guidelines? That's huge right now, and I can go into that a bit later. What features they're going to put on the website, such as like a chat, scheduling, stuff like that, and how are they tracking how effective your website actually is? A lot of people can make a site and, all right, it's there. Now what?
Dive into that. What makes a great site from the technical perspective versus just a mediocre one? Because you're right. I mean, it feels like anybody can get a website today. And we see free sites like Wix pop up. Anybody can website. But we know it's not created equal. So what is
Wait a second. There's something there. Is this, what is that called? Wix?
Yeah, Wix.
Is that basically the Aspen Dental of websites? I just wanted to relate it to dentistry.
It's a is to build your own website. You know, people who are just starting out, I don't think it's a bad idea. But if you want to be more professional, then it would be best to have somebody who knows what they're doing to actually do it for you. And it's going to save you time. It's going to save you headache. For me, you know, what separates or what makes a great website, from a developer's point of view, you know, I look at design balance, I look at the user experience, how easy is the website to actually use, how fast can I get the information I need so I can get out and go along with my day, how adaptable it is on the different devices. Does it work on my smartphone or is it not responsive? Which I've run into some websites from pre-2010 that are still up that are not responsive. And that's just a headache on a smartphone. If you think about it, traffic from smartphones has actually overtaken desktops. So if someone's not developing for smartphones, that's a huge hindrance to your business.
So how, you mentioned speed in there. How fast should a website load ideally? Is there a time frame that people will abandon if they don't, you know, get loaded in a certain time?
Honestly, I think that really depends on the user. Like for me, if I'm on my phone, I might let it go like 4 seconds. But you know, people are just so darn impatient these days. They want everything now, and can you really blame them? Not
No.
really.
No.
You really can't. So let's say, okay, I go to Google, I search for dentist and my zip code. I click on a link there. It's taking too long. All right, I'm out. I go back. I go to the next person in the listing. They just lost business.
I totally agree. I mean, I've done that, I think almost subconsciously on certain websites where it's like, oh, this isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is totally sad that, you know,
It is.
but I think the problem is we have high expectations that other websites are going to perform, you know, what we need it to. And so we expect that from then, therefore, every website. Can you imagine, you know, back on AOL when you would dial in
Ugh.
and sure, and you'd hear the screech and you'd wait for a minute and a half and that was acceptable. And if it took 5 minutes, you were like, oh, this is taking too long. But now, you know, like 3 seconds is an eternity for the instant gratification.
And it's just going to get worse.
Sure.
Well, if I think, yeah, I'm an Amazon Prime user.
Yep.
So if I order something from my phone, I get frustrated if I have to add it to cart as opposed to the one swipe buy. That's impatient. They have trained me to be so impatient now that I'm like, oh, I have to add it to the cart and choose off. No, I just want to swipe and be done.
Right.
That's
all I'm trying to say is, you know, like we could vilify the patient, but at the same time, we have high expectations as well. And so we're not any better or worse. It's just people have a certain standard norm expectation. And I don't think that's wrong to consider if you're trying to capture patients. If you have enough patients, then who cares? Well, Reagan, think about this. Remember the email that I sent earlier this week that I said, you know, that one video software company doesn't allow for you to watch the videos in a faster speed.
yes.
But I'm just like, but YouTube does. And, you know, so I watch YouTube videos at 1.5 or a lot of times 2.0 speed. It's because I need to be able to get that information faster. Mm-hmm. And if they're not letting me get it done faster, I mean, I sound horrible saying this, but I'm just like, then they're not respecting the fact that like I, as a consumer, can get that in another place. And I value my time. That's why I want to listen and watch faster. I need to know the answer now.
Chad has changed my behaviors in this. And so yes, Chad sent this email to me and it was a user experience. I think user experience is king. I think that's what's driving a lot of things. Marketing is a tactic. I think user experience is where the real secret and the strategy is. And you taught me that trick about listening to things on more. So I was listening to my books on Audible on one speed until he just happened to mention one day. And I was like, wait a minute, you can do it faster. And I listened to a book the whole weekend on 1.5 speed.
Yes.
Through everything I needed. I had a project that I was going to do based on this book, got it done. And then I left them a review. And the review I left, I still gave them 4 stars, but I said unnecessarily verbose. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a Chadwick. I'm totally like information. It was helpful. But you could have said the same thing in like halftime, like, let's go guys. Money.
Big time.
Yeah. So Ken, what do you see like in harnessing your 2+ decades of looking at online experiences and growing with it and And being such a voracious CE learner that you are, where do you think the market's going to go? Where do you see the project?
Oh gosh. Well, one thing for certain, they're going to get a lot faster. People are going to get more impatient. So we have to be on the edge of everything we're doing for the websites to accommodate for that. Something that has been kind of big and growing momentum lately is the web apps. There's a lot of companies who are essentially making their websites web apps. So like on your phone, you could save it to your phone and it would look just like an app. It's pretty slick. It's just a slick way to get right to that website if it's something you're going to use, a lot.
So it's like a web icon shortcut, but the way that the patient experiences and uses it, so far as they're concerned, it's an app.
True, because when you click on it, it opens up, without the browser window and just filling up your screen.
Cool.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.